Hi, friends. Welcome back to our second episode of the series all about freelancing. So, in the previous episode, we covered the pros and cons of freelancing versus a permanent day job. So, we looked at certain factors that might help you decide whether freelancing is for you or not. In fact, I got quite a lot of response asking a few more questions in that regard. We'll try to cover those also in today's episode. And after that, we are going to cover today's episode, which is about once you decide to get onto freelancing, what are the various ways in which you can jump from your day job into freelancing? Like, do you totally cut it off and then start freelancing all out like that, or are there safer ways? So let's get started. So yeah, so few questions from the previous one. There are certain more factors that people are asking me about. One thing is about stock options. Like, what about stock options? Isn't that a factor between freelancing and day job? That definitely is. But stock options is not really a viable option for all of us, as in not all of us get stock options, right? Only when you're working with a startup which has good funding, or if you are working with a premier organization, then they do offer you stock options, and definitely that is a big motivation and a lot of money. And one of the reasons they give you stock options is for you to stay longer in that organization and grow with the organization. If you have stock options, then definitely evaluate that. Then I'll probably say freelancing is not for you, because when you are in such an organization, grow with it, and in the long term, if you stay with that organization, that is definitely beneficial to you. So if you have stock options, then definitely this is not the way for you. Again, one thing that you might miss out when you're freelancing is appraisals and promotions that you get with your regular job. Again, that is something which is related to growing with the organization. So these are, if you are looking for a long-term benefit, then definitely staying with a good organization on a long-term basis is something that you might want to consider. Now, there are certain you can say negative factors also for freelancing. One of them being delay in payment, which is like few people definitely face this problem, wherein although they have completed their work on time, but the client does not do payment on time, or sometimes the client just does not like your work and they don't do the payment at all. We are going to talk about this also in few of our future episodes about how what all are the things that you should look for while you are signing your contract, so that you can avoid such situations that you have completed your work and yet the client is not paying you. But yeah, those are real cases and that does happen. So that's also something that you have to take into account. Now, let's say you have decided that you want to try out freelancing for sure. You still don't know whether it is for you, but you definitely want to try it out. So the first thing that comes to your mind when you already have a day job is probably, when where is the time to do freelancing? The first thing is probably to try out over weekends, and that's something that a lot of people start with. That you start putting in some time over the weekend, try out some small projects in freelancing, and then see if that works for you or not. Although that's a good way to evaluate, but then you might face a lot of problems when you are thinking about doing freelancing over weekends. One thing is you may not get good clients, because any client would look for a consistent work to be done. Like, either you should be a full-time freelancer or at least a part-time freelancer, but you should be working few hours on a daily basis. That's what they want. Unless they really want you to create some kind of a small tool or a very small web page, they would not really be looking for a weekend freelancer. One more message that goes to them is that those who are working on weekends are not really serious about their work. So a lot of clients, they kind of refrain from weekend freelancers. But yeah, if you don't really have time on weekdays, then that's the only thing that you can start with. One thing that I can suggest you is even if you're looking at weekend as a time to start freelancing, maybe start with giving at least an hour or two over the weekdays as well. So, what you can try to do is before you start your day job, give let's say 2 hours before you start it, or 2 hours after you're done with your day job. That way you are able to give some kind of a consistent output to your clients on a daily basis, and then you make up for it over the weekend. So let's say instead of trying to give in 8 hours and 8 hours over the weekend and trying to make it 16, just give 2 hours every day, so that kind of makes it 10 hours over the weekdays, and then you give just 3 hours over the weekends to make up for it. uh, Even then, I'll say, try to keep the minimum number of hours that you're giving over a week to at least 20 hours a week. Otherwise it's quite like, it's not really significant amount of time to try it out. Now, whether you are doing it just over the weekend or with a mix of it with weekdays, I will definitely say that the amount of time that you are putting into this freelancing work, be absolutely serious about that, because you don't want to send out a message that this is something that you are doing just as a just as a side project, just for some extra money. Don't keep that attitude at all, because that definitely shows up, and that's not good for your client, and that's not good for you as well. uh, any job that you do it as if your life depends upon it. That's the only way, when your actual efforts will come out, and you will be able to put in something substantial. In fact, one of the problems with doing this part-time freelancing is that sometimes it gets a little difficult to get big clients. But yeah, if that's the only way that you can start with freelancing, then so be it. At least build up some kind of a profile, create experiences around freelancing, and then you can always jump onto a full-time freelancer. Now, let's say whether you're doing it over weekend or with a mix of weekend plus weekdays, I will say do not do this for a very long time. Like, keep this restricted to some kind of an evaluation period. Like, do this for 3 months, 6 months, or maybe at the most a year, but don't stretch it too much, because this is going to put some kind of a toll on your body as well, right? If you're working in your day job 8 hours a day, it's not really 8 hours, you're having breaks there, so it's like 9 to 10 hours. On top of that, add the commute to the work if you have to go to office, then about 10 to 11 12 hours you're putting into your day job, and on top of that, if you have to put in 2 hours every day, and then you don't even get to the weekends to yourself, it's quite a toll on you when you have to do this day in and out for a very long time. So I'll say, just do this only while you are evaluating your option whether to do a day job or freelancing. You cannot really sail on two boats for a very long time. So pick your option, like, whether you want this or that, but don't do this for a very long time. Definitely don't do freelancing for some extra money. Don't go for that, because you can't really sustain this for a very long time. And while you are taking this approach, one more thing that might help you is to start with small chunks of work. Do not look for long-term engagements right in the beginning. Start with small chunks, so that the risk is kind of lowered for you as well as your client. Because let's say if you take a long-term work, they have finalized on you, and then you start it, and within a month you figure out that this is not for you, then it's not good for your clients either, because they have to now again start looking for another freelancer. So I'll say, start with small chunks while you are testing waters, to see if freelancing is beneficial to you or not. One more method that you can probably engage in is to probably take, some kind of a long break from your work, like take a sabbatical leave or so, or maybe a month or two of a leave from your day job, and then try freelancing to see if this really works for you, because that way you are kind of putting in absolute full effort, and this is like a very serious effort from your side to evaluate if freelancing works for you or not. So that's also something that you can try out. Now, whether you take up freelancing as a side work, like putting in few hours daily, or you take a long leave from your day job and get into freelance full time for that much of period. Either ways, you have few options of getting into freelancing. One option is going solo, wherein you are all by yourself. You start looking for work, and there are a lot of online websites will cover those topics as well as to how you can apply for those. And the other option is to go through certain agencies, wherein there are already some consulting companies who have established clients. You can join them, and this is like pretty much similar to like a day job. It's just that you are working on contract with these agencies. The advantage of going with these agencies is that one thing is you don't have to look for clients, and believe me, that's a big factor. Like that will just drain you off if you are new to freelancing. Nobody is going to give you a good freelance work if this is the first thing that you are trying out. Like if you don't have prior experience to show, if you don't have recommendations from other clients, it's very difficult to get your first job. In fact, even if you go to certain websites, a client always looks for what is your previous experience and recommendations. So it's going to be difficult. In fact, going solo will fetch you quite less rates also, because there is a very tough competition out there. So I will definitely suggest going through some agencies, because these agencies already have established clients, so they can place you quickly. And it's also good for the client, because let's say if you get into freelancing, within 2 months you see that okay, this is not for you, at least your agency can replace you with somebody else, and the client is at a very lesser risk in that case. So that actually it's a good situation for your clients also. Also, there is one more factor, that sometimes let's say you work for your clients for 2 weeks and they don't like your work. They feel you're not really fit for the job, for the skills, or for the involvement, for whatever reasons. Or let's say if the work was too small and your engagement is over. In that case, agencies can place you with another project or with another client. So that way, you keep getting work even when your current job is over or terminated. So that way, it kind of helps to go with an agency rather than trying out solo. Also, another advantage that you get is mentoring with such agencies. So I can just give you my own example. So I run a consultancy firm here in Vancouver called Shunya Technologies, and we have an amazing a team of freelancers working for us. So these are all the real cases that I'm telling you, wherein when a client does not like one freelancer, we always replace them with somebody else, and we put that freelancer into some other projects. So that helps either ways. And also, because I have worked as a freelancer for a long time, I am able to mentor uh, the new comers quite well. Like, a lot of people, they have a lot of experience working as a software developer, but they do lack experience working as a freelancer. And there are a lot of things to learn when you want to start your journey as a freelancer. So I do help them out, mentoring also. So definitely, that's some advantage to a lot of people when they are starting off fresh. Okay, so I guess that's all about it that we wanted to cover today, about how seamlessly you can jump from a day job to freelancing if you decide to do so without losing your day job. Definitely do not take that jump of starting with freelancing right away. Try out slowly, testing water, see if it really works for you, then only get into it. So let me know how you liked this episode. If you have further questions, please post them in the comments below. And if you want to know more topics about freelancing, let me know what are the things that you want me to cover. We already have a lot to cover though. So, and also please subscribe to this channel so that we can get more viewership. So, okay, so till next time, see you again. Bye bye.